Well, how many here? Okay, is there any video games you sympathize with the villain ever?
Any video game I sympathize with a villain?
Or entertainment? Yeah, movies. There's got to be at least one where eventually you're all like, I fucking love this guy.
Alright, so out of everything entertainment and a villain that I sympathize with, that's a good question.
You know they're out there. It's just tough to think of sometimes. Alright guys, then I'm cutting. You're not allowed to say Hitler or Stalin. Neither one of y'all, alright?
No.
If Dylan was here, he'd probably pop on one of those. Or Genghis Khan. He was a brutal guy. Entertainment.
Anything
games,
entertainment,
yeah.
games, movies.
It could be TV shows. What have you?
But a villain that you
you
could sympathize with.
Or maybe not even sympathize. You're all like, I ain't even upset with you no more. So after you hear some storyline. Have you got something still there?
I want to say, I'm not 100% sure if I'm answering this correctly. I don't know if he was determined as a villain or not. But if so, I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say that the Crow.
Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. He was supposed to be this like anti-hero style character. Yeah, that counts.
Yeah. That's it.
Right, okay, so right there. He was considered to be a criminal probably to most.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd hear all of his victims' sides over his. Right?
Well, once again, it comes down to like the...
No. You said every time. Every time. You're going to hear that victim out longer than the criminal.
Son of a bitch. He's a criminal who's a victim first.
Okay,
so
well, how do
he gets that special privilege.
Because you watched his movie, right?
Huh?
You haven't watched all these criminals' movies, their story in life.
Well, they didn't live long enough to get a movie thanks to him.
Or was it entertaining?
I say he killed them all. Sorry.
No shit. Yeah, no, but there's
about
that.
500 people. We're not gonna hear the stories of them.
And I ain't saying it justifies terrible actions. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
But
let's say, there is no justification for terrible actions. That's why I don't like the idea of blaming things necessarily. Blaming inanimate objects as if to justify why it happened. Just accept the fact that they were a piece of shit and move on. Mm-hmm. You know, like, what you do with that, assalamu alaikum. If the piece of shit was a piece of shit enough to be hanged, do it. If you don't feel like that was, if you feel like that's too harsh of a punishment for the level of piece of shittery he had pulled, then give him equivalent to his status or whatever. But ultimately, like, a piece of shit's a piece of shit. No matter what they have around him, I don't care if the light flickered weird and it caused some weird trigger in his brain to make him want to fight. He deserves to get his ass beat for even being susceptible to do that and not alerting anyone around him to it until after the fact. Because there's no way that this is an issue with you and you don't know. You know what I mean?
No.
And someone might tell me that there's some freak off scenario story where this guy went to the doctor in his later years in life and found out that this happened out of the blue because he accidentally did it. I don't know. I've never met anyone with a freak accident story like that. They all try to say they've already heard this and this is how they are, and it's like, no. That doesn't sit well with me. You can't just live life with an excuse as to why you do things. And I think that's where blaming other things becomes really quickly, as it becomes excuses. Because the ultimate factor is, it never mattered that was there. It mattered about what kind of a person they are and how far they're willing to go when it comes to people. Because I get it. Being the person who doesn't deceive doesn't mean you don't see how you can be deceived. And so, like, I know the type of person who would, I don't know, they'd get upset, hit in the arm. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, it's fine. And it's like something clicks in their head. I don't know if it's the game or if it's a social interaction, but it gets to that point where they're like, you know what? I got away with that. Let's see how much more I can get. I think there's people that do that.
Well, people like to push limits.
Exactly.
That's just what we do.
But what limits are okay to push need to be discussed, not just attacked. And I think that's the big difference right there. So it's like, if I'm playing a video game with you and you're getting upset and you feel as though you're going to lay your hands on me, we need to have this conversation before we start playing this game. That way I can go ahead and state to you that if you put your hands on me, I will put my hands on you. And that way, in the beginning, there's a common understanding as to what you got in return for what you give.
Yeah.
Rather than this weird loophole contract where they just tell you after they did it, and now you're just supposed to accept that and not retaliate. You see what I mean?
So if you retaliate, then you think you're the bad guy?
No, I think retaliating is totally fine.
Okay.
But
is it the limit?
I think they're manipulative people dodge the retaliation role. They go to that point where, like I said, they do it. Then they say it was because of something.
A video game.
And now, if you do anything back, who is the bad guy in the overall scheme? Yeah. And so it's like, when the truth of the matter is, if they would have come to you in the beginning and say, hey, I have a tendency to put my hands on people when I get upset in games, and then I could have been like, all right, fair enough. Well, we can still do this, but when you do that, this is what I'll do. And then if they agree to those terms, all right, we're both walking into the same playground with the same set of rules. That's how it is. But it's like, you can't just bring up the rules after you've gotten what you want out of it.
Oh, I agree with that totally. Is that what happened with you and Alex when I walked in the house?
Oh, no, that was just us wrestling around. We like to wrestle.
It had nothing to do with like a video game or something?
No, it's more sexual.
It's more sexual.
Yeah.
Well, I'd hope you guys are brothers.
Hell yeah. Why go down the road when you can go down the hall?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, save you some gas, man. For sure. You got any more tails? Get him off the fucking mic. You got any more tails over there?
Yeah, like DuckTales?
Woo!
No.
Oh, I need to grab a beer. We can pause it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hand her the mic and be like, all right, click.
Yeah, everybody leaves.
Yeah.
Everybody leaves when I get the mic.